Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So Mauricio, first of all, how you doing? Make sure and subscribe, okay? Hey, look, Mauricio Sulaiman needs to hold his horses and stop taking it to the stupid. Now, I do think he's probably the most active and definitely the most visible sanctioning body president out there, right? Everyone knows about the WBC, the coveted WBC belt, and all those other innovative belts that they create for various boxing matches. But Sulaiman, let me tell you something. This man has a little bit of Sammy Davis Jr. in him, a little bit of Fred Astaire, and a little bit of Gregory Hines, because my boy can tap dance. Let me tell you something. They start talking about about Bivol in a recent interview. And in case you've been sleeping underneath the rock, you know the WBC, they don't want Bivol fighting for any WBC straps, okay? Because Bivol's Russian, the war and everything going on in Russia, they just don't, according to him, don't want anything really to do with supporting Russian fighters at this moment. Now, I don't agree with that, okay? But when you understand this, right? I've talked about it before. I'm not going to peel the layers back. Bottom line, in my opinion, you got Canelo 168. They were talking about making Bivol and Canelo at 168. If they fought at 168, Bivol would beat Canelo, pick up the undisputed distinction. He would have a WBC strap, okay? So how those conversations even took place, I don't know. If Mauricio the Nose Sulaiman is like, nah, we don't want a Russian to have our belt. That being said, now you take a look at Canelo going up to fight Bivol now, trying to fight Bivol at 175. Bivol shot that down. He's like, there's no in the world I'm going to fight Canelo in a rematch and agree to the terms from the first fight. I beat him. And he didn't just beat him, you know what I mean? He damn near tranquilized him every round. He just didn't put him out of his misery. He beat the shit out of Canelo, okay? That's not an exaggeration. Like, that's what happened. But the thing is, Bivol's not going to accept those terms. And he shouldn't. But this is what I believe is going on. Mauricio the Nose Sulaiman was trying to bubble Canelo. He's involved. He can say, I'm just the sanctioning body. I don't get involved with the promotion. I don't get involved with the managers. I have my power is very limited. Anything outside of sanctioning bodies, roles, or responsibilities, I can't get involved with. We all know that's bullcrap because a secret society exists, and he's right in the middle of the action, okay? But that being said, they were trying to bubble up Canelo 175 to fight Bivol and just hoping for a close fight. But let me tell you, Bivol shot that down. He doesn't want to do it because they didn't want to pay him as the champion and as the guy who already beat the hell out of Canelo. So now, what I think they wanted him was Canelo to make the fight close. They were going to rob Bivol, okay? Simple. And now Canelo gets that WBO strap, then he goes and he fights the winner of Smith and Bertabiev, and then now Mexico could have another Canelo as an undisputed champion in another weight division. But it doesn't look like it's going that way. But check this out. Sulaiman says, and it could just him being spiteful when it comes to Bivol, is this. The WBC had teamed up with Ukraine to build facilities in Ukraine that was supposed to open in May of 2023, right? Supposed to open this year. Those facilities that were being built or that were built, right? Or halfway built, whatever. I think it was just about done because they had the airstrikes and crap taking place in Ukraine. Long story short, Russia bombing Ukraine. We all know it's kind of crazy what's going on over there. And those facilities were destroyed. And Sulaiman is pissed about that because it's money lost. You understand? As a result of the war, there's a lot of infrastructure that gets damaged. Some of it is legal targets. Some of it's not legal targets. That gym just wasn't a legal target, but you know, Russia is just firing. They're destroying hospitals, so they don't care. Anyway, Mauricio the Nose Sulaiman is pissed about that. And he came out and he talked a little bit about that. And I said, okay, that may be the reason why he wants this. In his mind, he's getting back at the Russian government by not allowing their fighters to fight for a WBC strap. And it's out of frustration of the Russian attacks on Ukraine and destroying those facilities that were being built. My understanding, I think it was 2. Both are gone, destroyed. So whatever money was put up for that is good. Everything's gone. But even more interesting is who knew the WBC and Ukraine were working to put some facilities in Ukraine to help with the boxing program. So bottom line is right now, there's nowhere for anyone to train for boxing in Ukraine. But going back to what I just asked you, who knew? This is the politics. This is the secret society stuff. Okay? Who knew that was going on? Now, when you have an understanding that this is the kind of stuff taking place, you have the president of a country working hand in hand with the president of a sanctioning body. Elite fighters from that country are going on to fight, and they end up in position to fight for the belts underneath the sanctioning bodies. When you really start peeling the layers back, you're telling me that doesn't mean it's going to happen. You're telling me there's not the possibility of somebody getting a little bit of favoritism. So that leads us to what I'm about to say next. Lomachenko and Devin Haney. Mauricio Sulaiman talked about that. He didn't say anything negative. All he said was we should be grateful for a great fight. The fight was close. Lomachenko did well. Devin Haney did well. He said Devin Haney landed very hard body shots, which count just as much as powerful headshots. And he said he doesn't feel it was a robbery. Now, what we do know, which the interviewer didn't press him, but he should have, and said, okay, we get you, Mr. Sulaiman. I happen to agree with you that it was competitive. But bottom line, how can you still keep Lomachenko ranked as number 1 in the WBC? And that being said, is he going to be made the mandatory? Because Lomachenko is ranked number 1 in, I think, the WBO as well. So are you going to make him the mandatory to Devin Haney and force a rematch? They didn't ask that question. But just us being smart people. Now, one thing I'll say, admittedly, right, just because someone's ranked number 1 in a sanctioning body doesn't make him the mandatory. We know that. But they should be. And Lomachenko's still holding tight. 2 of the 4 sanctioning bodies, this man's ranked number 1. So it is what it is. But Mauricio Sulaiman went on, and he talked about, so what I'm telling y'all is, just sit back and pay attention to what happens with Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Just watch, right? I think they're going to give Devin Haney the business. Then he talked about Tyson Fury. And he said how Tyson Fury should have defended the belts already. He says he kind of feels sorry for Tyson Fury. He just feels like the money and everything involved in boxing over there in Saudi, it's kind of complicated some things. He said he feels that Usyk signing with Skills Challenge Promotion, he's like, he doesn't know if it makes the fight with Tyson Fury easier to make or more difficult. He said he doesn't have anything to do with that. He said Usyk signing with Skills Challenge Promotion is probably just a signing. And we shouldn't see it as anything more than that. But we know that he's full of hot air because he was over there for Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, what's his name, Badu Jack when he fought the guy, I think his name Malunga, whatever his name was, Makabu, whatever the hell his name was. He was right over there in the middle of the ring chilling with the Prince. He's right there involved with everything going on with boxing and Saudi Arabia and the money and Skill Challenge Promotion and how he can get his the fighters under the WBC in that rotation, okay? But he's not going to admit to that, but he's heavily involved. He went on to talk about Spence and Crawford and said it's an amazing fight. But when it comes to old Sulaiman here, right, let me tell y'all, he and Eddie Hearn. This is why I find this guy interesting. I could talk a lot about Eddie Hearn too. There's some similarities between both of these guys. We all know Eddie Hearn is tapped into the secret society as well. Y'all can't tell me Eddie Hearn's not on that circuit. look at the things that go Eddie Hearn's way. All right? That's all I'm saying. Look at the kind of money that flows through Metro, comes through Eddie Hearn. Look at how certain decisions go his way. Look at Conor Benn's situation. All right? Who else is involved with Conor Benn's situation? Mauricio the Nose Sulaiman. Mauricio Sulaiman talked about that. You know, if you let Eddie Hearn say it, Conor Benn's innocent. You let Conor Benn tell the story, Conor Benn will say he's innocent. You let Mauricio Sulaiman tell the story, he'll say his scientists, which are approved by WADA, they did a very intensive research, and what they concluded, he accepts their findings that for Conor Benn, the reason that he had the clomiphene in his system was because of eating something with too many contaminated eggs. Now, I've said this about 1,000 times. I'll say it again, short and sweet. The story about Conor Benn and those eggs. Let me tell y'all about it. Word is, Conor Benn got his hands on some eggs that were laid by a hen, right? This hen in particular, the farmers or the production managers or whatever of the facility that were raising these hens or whatever, I understand they wanted to increase the egg production rate. So as a result, they know that clomiphene increases fertility, so they orally administered this clomiphene to these hens. And of course, it increased the egg production rate, supposedly. And as a result, when the eggs were laid, the eggs were contaminated with clomiphene because, you know, they were laid by a hen that was being orally administered this clomiphene, which is a bad substance. So now all these contaminated eggs are out there in this facility, and they just happen to get shipped out, somehow end up in Conor Benn's kitchen. Conor Benn ate about 1,000 of them shit. So as a result, that's how he got the clomiphene in the system. Now, you know, hey, take that with a grain of salt. Salt poppy, right? Take that with a grain of salt. But then Conor Benn should have just remained reticent. Instead, he wants to get up there. He wants to howl, let everybody know this is bull crap. I didn't eat no damn 1,000 eggs. And then he comes now, Conor Benn, and says that he doesn't accept what the WBC's finding on him. Now, this is where, you know, I've talked about it before on the channel. I always say it in different videos. This is the truth. What do young boys say? Facts, right? I don't say that. It sounds stupid. I'll say truth, right? So truth. The truth is this. These guys need to learn to listen a whole lot and talk very little. Because Conor Benn should have shut up. So Conor Benn comes out and says he doesn't accept the WBC's findings. Now his situation is a bit worse than what it was. Because the WBC is kind of like, you can see in Sulaiman's face, his expression was more like trying to help you. And you still running your mouth. So now supposedly Conor Benn, we know he's fully turned over additional evidence to the British Boxing Board of Control. And we're just waiting to see what the outcome is. But that being said, Mauricio Sulaiman, Fred Astaire, Gregory Hines, Sammy Davis Jr., all in one. The Mexican tap dancer. I mean, my man can tap dance. So all that stuff, man, to me, it's crazy. Taking it to the stupid. But let me tell you something. He even went on record, man, and started talking about this whole 224-pound class. Now, I'm going to read something to you, right? It's about the whole bridge weight crap. Now, he went on record, and he's defended the creation of the bridge weight division. Now, I'm going to read something to you, right? So check this out. In Mexico City on the 6th of June, right? Mauricio Sulaiman, he believes the newly created 224-pound weight class has many virtues despite the division not being recognized by any other world title sanctioning body. Y'all see the weight on that? 224 pounds. So who falls within 200 to 224 pounds? Those heavyweights will fall in the bridgeweight class. It's a little bit weird, but Deontay Wilder falls right there. Nonetheless, right? Hold on a second. He says, absolutely. That's one of the virtues of the new division, just like Evander Holyfield, a cruiserweight, then he grew into heavyweight. Bridgeweight is another possibility for cruiserweights to grow into bridger and eventually heavyweight. Sulaiman was quoted as saying by Sky Sports. Now, is that the case? Or is there something they're doing to pull the rug from underneath Alexander Usyk? Because I didn't think it was up to 224 pounds initially, but we know Usyk. I don't think Usyk is weighing over 224. But nonetheless, he and Deontay Wilder, they kind of fall pretty close to that 224-pound limit. But the WBC president argued that the bridgeweight division can be a route towards an eventual title fight at heavyweight, as the fighters are also accepted as contenders at heavyweight. My question is, if a fighter just wants to fight at heavyweight, why not let him? You're gonna tell him no? Like, you carve out this weight class for guys who know once they get to 201 pounds, they're heavyweight. And I don't quite disagree with having a bridgeweight category, because I can only imagine being someone 205 pounds, unless you have this freakish strength like Wilder, and fighting someone who's 290 pounds. Like, it's a big difference, okay? But at the end of the day, you just going to tell someone they have to fight at bridgeweight? So I'd have to go and take a look to see how many heavyweights, active heavyweights, elite heavyweights actually weigh 224 pounds or less. But what you may see guys doing is ballooning up to 225, 226, so they can get around this bridgeweight crap. But that being said, he goes on to say, absolutely, without having to give up 50, 60 pounds. Remember, every bridgeweight fighter is also accepted as a contender at heavyweight. So he just answered that question. So it's a division that has many virtues. The current bridgeweight champion is Lukasz Rozanski, who won the title after defeating Alan Babic inside a round. His next fight is a mandatory defense against Kevin Lerena. We have the champion Rozanski from Poland and the silver champion Riot Merley lost to Lerena in South Africa. So Lerena will fight mandatory Rozanski, which should be a sensational fight. The WBC president further added that he is proud of the changes they did in the boxing world, making 12-round fights instead of 15, and defended the newly created division. The world, as humane nature, is always rejecting changes. Human nature is to push and not consider any changes. But we're proud of changes in the boxing world, 15 to 12 rounds, the weigh-in the day before, the change in gloves. So many medical innovations we have instituted, the use of instant replay. They need to do instant replay more consistently, okay? There is pushback, but every single bridgeweight fight has been sensational. Every single one. And small heavyweights with good athleticism, power, and 224 pounds. Great fights, Sulaiman concluded. The bridgeweight division hasn't yet caught on with the majority of fans as compared to other established divisions. Well, we know that. So the bottom line is, we're going to see what happens with the bridgeweight division. And my thing is the bridgeweight division, the money's at the heavyweight division, okay? Before the guys at bridgeweight, what kind of money's going to be there, okay? And I tell you what, a guy like, what's his name, Usyk. Let's say if Usyk fights Tyson Fury and beats Tyson Fury, he becomes an undisputed at heavyweight. He was already undisputed at cruiserweight, and then he drops down to bridgeweight and goes and becomes an undisputed at bridgeweight. But there's only one belt at bridgeweight right now because the other sanctioning bodies haven't come on board. I'll tell you what, if those other sanctioning bodies come on board, that bridgeweight division is going to start popping. And you're going to see these guys from cruiserweight, a guy from cruiserweight try to go up and become undisputed at bridgeweight, and the guy at bridgeweight, and then from there try to maybe do heavyweight. Or the heavyweight guy who's like around 230 pounds, trying to pick in like a guy like Wilder, who has the potential to become undisputed at heavyweight, come down to bridgeweight, murder everyone, and maybe get down to cruiserweight. And so you could see guys coming up in weight and down in weight, especially if there's going to be money there and the other sanction bodies come on board. But that being said, more to come on that. But when it comes to Mauricio to know Sulaiman, I think there's some stuff they do over there that's pretty, and that's great. Is his moral compass pointed in the right direction? I think his moral compass, I think his moral compass has that needle, let's say there's 12 inches to that needle, right? The first 6 inches pointed in the right direction on the surface. That last 6 is veered off somewhere towards the east because my man, his shit is going to point to wherever the money is, okay? Wherever the secret society needs his WBC needle to point. And that's all I'm saying. And that's my opinion, man. But that being said, hey, we'll see what's going to happen here with Tyson Fury, Usyk, Bridgeweight. Going to see what happens with Lomachenko. And we're going to see what happens if he's going to keep being, hard-nosed and pressed about not letting Bivol get a crack at Bernabiev. I personally believe they just want to block Bivol to try to get Canelo into position to try to become undisputed at light heavyweight. But I don't know. We have to wait and see. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Eat something good. Take care of your family. In the breeze.